All right, we're live. So happy Monday, Mike, and for everybody that is with us and that watching this later. What we're trying to do is connect you guys as high school kids with college coaches during this time of Corona pandemic to help you guys in the recruiting process. So we're going to answer some questions and then go over some different topics about the recruiting process and that's really it. It's just a service that we want to provide for you guys, during this time of uncertainty. So again, I'll introduce Mike Trujillo. He's the head coach at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University there in Arizona, and he's going to cover some things for you. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mike.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Happy Monday.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're going to talk specifically about staying in communication after your college visit. And in today's drastically changing recruiting world, that not necessarily is after a visit, but it's after your initial communication with a school. Because as we know, visits are not happening right now. And so people's initial visit may be online. It may be a call, it may be a Zoom call, it may be FaceTime, it may be just an initial email. So we'll kind of talk about stuff with that. First and foremost, though, I hope everybody is doing okay. I hope everybody's safe and is healthy, and I hope everybody's families are safe and healthy too in this crazy pandemic time that we're in. It's truly something unique that everybody's going through. But anyways, first couple things that I wanted to talk about is when we're talking about communication, whether it's after your initial visit or after your initial email or contact with a coach, is you have to know for you specifically what's important to you. What are you specifically looking for and what do you want? And that could be anything from location or distance away from home. It could be what degree specifically do they have? It could be what are their wins and losses as a program? It could be the playing style. So you have to identify those factors for you specifically as a recruit to know. Because when you send that mass email out to coaches, because we know we get mass emails, we get them all the time, and that's okay. That's part of your initial communication with us coaches. But from there, you need to start determining what do you want, and some of those factors that I listed there are key so that you can be able to kind of narrow down your list of colleges and coaches that you're talking to. So know exactly what you want, and then from there, be serious with the schools and the coaches that you're serious about. And what I mean is, if you look and there's a school that you specifically like because of the location or because of the degree or because of the style or whatever, and you're serious about that school, be serious in your communication. Because again, in typically at this time of the year, I'll get 2, 3, 4 emails, the mass emails. But now that's ramped up. I'm getting 5, 6, 7, sometimes upwards of 9 or 10 of those a day. And with those people that I know are serious about us is because it's not the general mass email. It's a specific email coming directly from that player that wants to know more about Embry-Riddle in our program. So it kind of like how we talked about the recruiting has stepped up recently with the coronavirus. So people are getting a lot more serious. People are acting a lot quicker on offers and commitments. So the coaches, we're kind of getting a little nervous and we're offering people maybe a little bit sooner. And players on the flip side, any of those offers that they have, they might be acting and taking those offers up quicker than they normally would. So people are starting on both sides to act a little bit quicker. So be more assertive with your phone calls, your text messages, your emails. If there's somebody that you're really, truly interested in, you need to initiate that stuff quicker because the recruiting process is happening a lot quicker for a lot of us. And now there's a fine line with your follow-up on those schools that you're interested in. And there's a fine line with those schools that you're somewhat interested in because, this is on both sides of us, for us coaches and for you guys as players. If there's somebody that you're interested in and you wait and you kind of hesitate, oh, I'm kind of interested in that school, I'm kind of like that coach. And if you wait too long, then maybe those offers might not be there anymore. On the flip side, if you go a little too aggressively, it might turn off a coach, or it might turn off a player. If we're calling constantly every single day, it might be a little bit of a turnoff, because it might seem like you're a little too aggressive and too panicked about it. But just make sure that your contact is consistent. It could be weekly, it could be every other week. But we're in the same boat as coaches as you guys are as players too, about staying in contact with those people that we're interested in, but just kind of somewhat interested in. You want to make sure that communication is constant. A couple things when we're talking about communication, some key factors for us is, as coaches, is pick up the phone and talk. That's huge. Coaches, especially my age or older, we like to talk. There's only so much you can do in a text message. You don't get a feel for sincerity in a text. And texting is good. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's communication. But pick up the phone and talk. And when you are talking with a coach, stop everything that you're doing, because we can tell. You can get a vibe when you're doing something else, or maybe you're not interested in the phone call. We can tell that there's a distraction, and you're not really focused on it. So that kind of tells us, well, how interested is this player in talking to me? And so that's going to kind of give us an indication of how serious that communication is with that player, how serious they are with our program. The second thing is respond in a timely manner. Okay, so if I send you a text message, or if I send you an email, if I leave you a message, make sure that you respond in a timely manner. And that's usually about 48 hours. That's pretty typical, because maybe you're busy, maybe you got school going on, maybe you're with a family, or something's going on, but at least respond. Give us some sort of indication back, because when we don't have a response, as players and as coaches, then the negative starts creeping in. Well, oh, maybe they're not interested, or maybe I'm a second choice, or whatever the case may be, but at least give some sort of response. The third thing with communication is, it's okay to be direct, and it's okay to be open. If you're serious about somebody and you want to know more about that program, ask them those direct questions. Ask if you have specific things you want to know, ask it. That's the only way to get those answers, or those questions answered, because again, when you don't have an answer, then the negative starts creeping in there. So if you want to know something, ask it, and it's okay to be direct. And then the last thing I would say with communication is, when you are fortunate enough to say, or to know where you want to go, and you want to make a commitment, those other coaches that were following you, that you were pretty close with, call them and tell them, because we want to know that answer, because otherwise, then again, we're still hanging on there. Is she still committed? Is she open? What's going on? And we don't know. And it shows, when you do that, it shows a level of maturity about you. But the other thing is, on the flip side, is maybe you've made your commitment, and for whatever reason, it doesn't work out and you transfer. You don't want to burn that bridge with that coach that you might have been close to, that might have been your second choice, because maybe they'll be open for you coming to their school as a transfer. But if you don't have that, then you've burned that bridge, and you might not have that option in the future, if that were the case. So that's kind of my overall thoughts on communication after you've taken your visit, or after your initial communication with a coach, is just stay open with your communication. And whether it's a text message, whether it's specific emails, or whether it's phone calls every other week or so, but stay in contact with those coaches and ask those direct questions, so that you know where you stand on their list, and you have a better idea, and it gives you more information to be able to make that choice of where you want to go for your schooling and your athletics. So hopefully that answers everybody's questions. If anybody has a specific question, go ahead and ask it, or you can email me or call me, either way. But that's what I had.
Awesome, Mike. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think right now, let's just kind of go through those questions that kids sent in prior to the meeting. And yeah, we'll just go over those if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. I know one of the questions was, how do you finalize who you want to recruit? And that's it's constantly changing. The first thing that we look at when we want to know who we're specifically recruiting is, it's most likely determined on who we're losing. from the previous year. And that could be through graduation, or unfortunately, the transfer rate is so high these years. But it's most likely we're recruiting for who we've lost. And the second factor that we look at is there a need or something, a hole that we're looking to fill or replace? So a lot of times maybe we have a really good core of kids, but we're missing this type of person, or we're missing that type of player. So we try and look to fill those holes of what we need in our program. But it's constantly changing, because maybe we have our list of players that we're trying to recruit by size or skill or whatever, but that's always changing, because we might have our top list, and maybe those kids have committed. And so now we start going down our list and going down our list, and so forth. So that's constantly changing based on who we're initially recruiting and who is committing and signing early. So now we have to go, maybe specifically we wanted a big post, and now all those posts that we were recruiting are gone. So now we have to go, okay, well, maybe we can't have a true 6'2", 6'3" player. Now we have to go for maybe a 6 foot 5'11" person that's a little bit more athletic. So our needs are constantly changing based on the recruiting world and how it's happening. The second question that came across is, should we be playing more than one position? And am I at a disadvantage of being labeled as a certain position? For me personally, I know for a lot of coaches that position is kind of irrelevant, because what your high school coach, based on what they have in their system, they might have you playing a role that they need based on what they have in their program, and that might not be what we need you to play for, or need the position that you to play. So we don't really recruit on position. We recruit mostly on skill and abilities and what we see as a need that we have. So position for a lot of coaches I know is kind of irrelevant at the college level. We're looking more for skill and talent and abilities. So don't feel like you have to label yourself, oh, I'm a point guard, or I'm only a shooting guard, or I'm a small forward, or whatever the case may be. Your position is kind of irrelevant. Another question that came across was, how can I stand out without a large platform? And especially in today's recruiting world, and that kind of goes back to our topic, is communicate. That's how you can stand out. Send those emails out there. Send those direct emails, because I know a lot of us coaches are getting those mass emails from NCSA or whatever the recruiting service may be. But if you find somebody, if you know that there's a school specifically that you're interested in, communicate with that coach directly. Send a personal email, send a phone call, send a text message, but send out your highlight videos. And by the way, when you send out highlight videos, you don't get the free throws out of there. It's a free throw, guys. You should be able to make a free throw. We want to see you beating somebody off the dribble. We want to see you defending. Put some clips of you there on defense, but get those free throw videos out of there. We don't need that stuff. But send those videos out there. Let us see what you can do, and just stay in contact, stay in constant communication with those coaches. And then the last one that came through is, what do I look for most in a player? Talent is obvious. That's obvious. We don't have to necessarily look for that. But once we find that player that we're looking for talent-wise, then I know a lot of us, and me specifically, we got to make sure that your academics are on par, or on point, because I'm here at a really high academic school. So obviously talent is talent. We look for that. But then it's got to be academics that we're looking for, to make sure that you're a solid student athlete and you'll perform well in our school. But the third component, and it's equally important, and in some aspects it's more important, is I look for the character. I look for a person that is mature and is a good teammate and handles themselves responsibly and maturely. And I would say that it's equally important with your academics and your athletics and your character, because I want to recruit people that I want to be around on a daily basis. And so if you might be really talented, but you're a bad teammate, you don't help up somebody when they take a charge, you don't give high fives or whatever, that's a reflection of a negative character. And I don't want those players in our program, no matter how talented they are. So that's kind of what we're looking for, is obviously athletics, then academics, and character equally. So those were the questions specifically that came across that I wanted to address. So Is there anything else, Greg, that you have, or anybody else that might have any questions?
No, say I didn't have it. Unfortunately, my playing days are past, so you know, I don't need to work on getting recruited.
Good. I tell you, it's a lengthy process. It's intimidating. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
Well, yeah. Well, hey, if that's everything, then I'll wrap up the video. That way we can start or stop the recording. And yeah, Mike, thank you so much for
Sure.
taking the time to help our kids. And I know it's a trying time for everybody, so we just wanted to use this as a platform to hopefully educate the kids and help them in their recruiting process and help you guys as coaches too.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever we can do as coaches, especially like you said, in this day and age now, how recruiting has drastically changed. Anything that we can do to help, whether it's coming to our school or whether it's coming to or going to anybody else's school, really what it comes down to it is, I know for me personally, is I want to make sure that these kids get the right fit. I absolutely, it's killing me seeing all these transfers out there because people are going for, ooh, I want to be at this name school or whatever, and then it's not a good fit, and those kids end up transferring. And that's really not what we want. Is we want these kids to get a good education and be in the right fit, be in the right place, so that they have a good college experience. That's really what it's about. So anything that we can do to help, I'm always here for it. So, but if any of the people watching the video have any specific questions, whether it's they want to know more about our school or just recruiting in general, call me, email me. I'd be happy to help anybody in any way I can.
Well, great, man. Well, hey, thank you so much, and happy Monday.
Sure. Happy Monday. Stay safe and keep those hands washed.
Yep.